Hello and welcome to the team. My name is Joe Shirk and I'm the district manager for the Gainesville, Florida office. If you're watching this video, that means you probably missed the first day of training and you're doing a quick makeup before we go into the second day. The first thing I do want to say is that this might be a short video, but it will completely make up everything you missed on the first day. It's just going to be packed in really quickly. Now, the second thing I want to say, I do this all the time. I've been doing this for years, where we've had people miss the first day and we did a quick makeup to get everything done in one day, and you're going to be totally fine. You're going to have a little bit of moments of probably feeling a little overwhelmed over the next few hours. If by the end of this video you don't feel the least bit overwhelmed at all, that'd be really weird. And that'd be weird in a good way, but that would be really weird. Just know that even though for the first half of training you might have some points where it's like, whoa, this is information overload, by the time we finish everything today, you're going to be totally confident with everything and you're going to be completely good to go. What I'm going to do is spend the first part of this just doing a lot of introductory stuff and doing a lot of review and making sure that we're on the same page and building confidence. After that, I'm going to be just teaching the majority of the demo. By the time this video is done, you will know pretty much most of the appointment. You won't have had any role play time, so you might not feel very confident in doing this part of the appointment, but you're going to get role play time after this, so you should feel good there. There's typically a 10-80-10 rule at the beginning of training. 10% of people at the very beginning who may be watching this, you're really excited to go out there and start selling a lot of knives and making a lot of money. And if that's you, that is weird because that's only 10% of people. You don't even know anything yet. Normally, if somebody feels that way, they already have a friend on the team who's doing very well and they're excited to make a lot of money like their friend. 80% of people, the high majority, know that once they know everything, then they're going to be really excited to go out there and crush it. You're just waiting to actually know everything is all it is. You're probably a mixture of both nervous and excited at the same time. You're nervous like, okay, I'm going to see if this is for me. You're excited because we're going to be building a lot of confidence and expectations on what you should sell and how much you should make. You're just waiting to get through the training to know everything. 10% of the time, the person watching this is terrified. You're like, I don't even know why I'm in training today or why I'm even watching this. I'm so scared. And if that's you, well, hey, it's a really good thing you're here because we're about to take some big steps outside our comfort zone and grow a lot from this experience. I always like to start out by talking a little bit about my story with the company. So I'm originally from a small town called Titusville. If you know where that is, it's on the coast between Cocoa and Daytona Beach. No special beaches like them. Small town down there. I always consider myself from a small town until I came up to Gainesville and I saw Chiefland and Trenton, and then I learned what small towns actually really were. But Titusville about a third of the size of Gainesville. I did your normal under-the-table jobs in high school before I could get like a real-life official job. I did tutoring. I got paid money to do some piano accompaniment, and that was like good money, but you weren't going to get a lot of work during the year with that. My first real-life official taxable job I got was McDonald's. And what's funny is when you're 17, you don't care where you work. You're just really excited to have a job. Back then, the minimum wage was $7.80, so it was like $6 take home after taxes. And I remember working at McDonald's. The thing I disliked the most about it was not the work I did, and it wasn't the customers either. As a matter of fact, I liked it when I was really busy because the busier I was, the faster my day went by. The thing I disliked the most was the working culture. It was the other coworkers, like the culture of being there. Most people weren't goal-oriented. Especially the managers weren't necessarily goal-oriented or growth-oriented people. And it was always like a contest of who could one-up each other the most on how miserable they are. Like, somebody would come into work and be like, oh, I stubbed my toe today. Someone else would need to one-up them and be like, oh, you stubbed your toe. Well, my car broke down. And then somebody else would need to one-up them saying like, oh, well, I got just dumped. And whoever like is the most miserable wins. Like, I don't know if you've been in a situation like that before, but it just was not good for your morale. I remember the way I made it by through the day was counting the hands on a clock. So we had this big analog clock in the back. I would show up and I'd look at it and I'd be like, okay, I have 3 hours and 50 minutes to go till break. And then later, 3 hours and 22 minutes. And 2 hours and 41 minutes, like to the exact minute. That was my motivation to get to break. And then after that, to get off my shift. Well, after high school, I went to college at the University of Central Florida in Orlando, so it's about an hour away from my hometown. Got a random phone call. My friend recommended me for the job. You might have gotten a text. It's very different in today's world. I actually text people for job interviews. Like back in my day, there was no texting. It was just a phone call. I remember getting off the phone and I felt kind of excited about it. The guaranteed pay was $14.50 back then. It wasn't $15. I'm like, okay, $14.50, a chance to make more. That sounds good. That sounds good. I had some friends who made me feel really weird about my job interview. I had one friend convince me it was a scam, and I canceled my job interview. Well, the guy who recommended me came in. It wasn't even a guy I was great friends with. I just went to high school with him. He called me back, helped me separate some of the facts from the non-facts out there. I was like, okay, well, he called me back, and that makes sense what he's saying. Maybe this is a sign. So I go to the interview. I don't even know it's a group interview till I show up to it. To be blunt with you, I don't remember everything I said in my group interview. It was a very long time ago at this point, about 7 years. But I must have said the right things because I got the job and I was in training that week. If you are in training right now and you're watching this video, you should feel really good about that. I want to let you know that we'll take 50 applications on like a slow week and we'll take 500 on a busier week. It's nothing too crazy. We fill in entry-level positions. It's pretty common for companies that have entry-level positions to fill up. And we get, anyways, out of all those people who apply, we might interview like a third of them. And then out of them, it'll only work out for a fraction of them. The majority of people it works out for, you either A, have a friend on the team already, or B, you might have heard about us on campus. Most of our top people heard about us from a friend. I heard about us from a friend. There's several reasons why. Birds of a feather flock together. Sometimes our top people are just, maybe they're skeptical or maybe they never considered working a job like this until they had a friend recommend them. And then B, I work closely with UF in Santa Fe. We have a Gator Career Link with UF, and we're in their career center. I'll pay people to advertise on campus. So that's our second best. And if you heard about us online through like a random like web app or a Craigslist, just know you must have really, really stood out because we filter our web applications out typically the most. Anyways, I was in training. It does kind of feel like the first day of class where you're like getting a feel for what class is going to be like and the teacher's like. As the day goes on, you're going to get a lot more comfortable and a lot more confident with everything. Since you're somebody watching this video, you're going to have a little up and down where you feel like a little overwhelmed and good and overwhelmed and good. Just know you're going to end the day on a really good note and you're going to be ready to go out there and crush it. Anyways, two things stood out to me in training. One thing that stood out to me a lot was I only wanted to work really part-time. My first time working here was in August, and it was my second week of starting classes at a university. Well, I was also living on my own for the first time, going to university for the first time, trying to do all of this for the first time. And most freshmen, they don't go to school and they're like, okay, let me just work a lot. They go there and they want to work and also try out clubs and do all this different stuff. So I was afraid to bite off more than I could chew. Well, my manager said, hey, doesn't matter how part-time you work. As a matter of fact, if you want to work very part-time, we're the most flexible employer for that. Now, no matter how part-time or full-time you plan to be, work as full-time as you can your first 10 days. And I did take his advice on that my first 10 days. I worked as hard as I could, obviously. I still went to class and did all my assignments and everything and still did all my other stuff. But I pretty much filled in my free time working hard. One of the best decisions I made, I hit my first pay raise my first weekend. Pretty much everybody does. It's only a couple average orders. I mean, do the math. And then I sold 4,000 my first 10 days, and I doubled my pay, so I was making 20% by the end of it. After that, boom, put it on cruise control. What are some reasons you think that we encourage people to do much more their first 10 days than they plan to normally do? Well, everybody's nervous, right? The most confident looking person you could possibly see in the room today in training, they're nervous. They just don't show it. Everybody's nervous to some degree. And if you only do a couple your first weekend, you'll still be a little nervous. Work really hard, right? Get 10 knocked out your first weekend, you're going to feel very confident. And, also if your first paycheck's a good paycheck, it's pretty motivating too. It really sets a lot of things up that after your first 10 days, you could work very part-time and still make good money. You could see the little incentive rates in the corner right here in the video. 10%, not super great, but if you could work to 20%, that's good. 30%, ooh, that's sexy, right? And we'll go over more of the average order and income and that type of stuff later. Well, the other thing that stood out to me in training was read the manual. Read the manual, read the manual, read the manual, read the manual. I will tell you right now, you don't have to be smart to do well here. You don't have to be talented to do well here. Now, you're probably not this if you're somebody that we have watching this video and doing the one-day training. Theoretically, you could be a very unintelligent and a very untalented person. But man, if you read the manual, you're going to do really well. Guess what I didn't do in my first appointment? Didn't read the manual. I was kind of a cocky 18-year-old. I was like, okay, I'm going to use my own talent and my own finesse and just like sell a lot and sizing myself up. That I was just going to be number one in the room. Well, my first appointment was also with my 26-year-old brother, so I extra didn't listen. You remember, you want to see people at least what age or older? Yeah, 30 years older plus. So I didn't read the manual, and I saw a 26-year-old in an apartment. Well, my first appointment took 3 hours. How long should they take? Yeah, an hour or less. I tripled that. So don't try to beat my record there. You don't want to take that long. And it was a hot mess. I didn't look like I knew anything I was talking about. It was an emotional roller coaster. I was all over the place. And it was so stressful because I didn't have my manual and I was just like winging my own thing. Well, by the end of it, sold a spatula. What's funny is you don't care if your first sale is a big ultimate set or a little spatula. You're just happy you made a sale. Well, my next appointment, I did an appointment with my friend's mom. Still didn't read the manual. Sold a fishing tool. Now, I felt good I was 2 for 2, but I was starting to feel a little frustrated where it's like, okay, well, they both bought for me, but like no one's buying knives. Like I thought I was going to sell big knife sets. No one was buying knife sets. No one was even buying single knives. It's Cutco. I sold a spatula and a fishing tool. Well, I thought to myself, okay, my third appointment is the best one I have lined up. It was with the richest family I knew. I went to high school with a girl named Angel. Her parents are NASA engineers. My hometown's like across from NASA. And anyways, to put something in perspective, I drove a car at the time. That cost $1,000 to get. Angel's mom had a sewing machine worth $15,000. So I was like, okay, her sewing machine is worth 15 of my cars. She'll buy everything from me 10 times. And I got my first snow sale. Not even a cutting board. And I remember leaving that appointment, and my emotions definitely were high. General tip in life: when your emotions are high, where do you think your logic is? Low, right? You're never going to have emotions high and logic high at the same time. So what that means, not even a Cutco tip, right? You probably know this, but never make an important decision when your emotions are high. Anyways, I called my manager anyways, Slocum. You're going to call me after every single appointment you do. I'm going to be like your training wheels. We're going to check in every single time. And he gave me the logic I needed. It was like, come on, John, how many appointments have you done? 3. And how many sales did you get? 2. 2 out of 3, that's good. That's 67%. If you guys remember, the national average is 60%. And I was like, yeah, but nobody's buying knife sets from me. And he said, okay, well, let me ask you a question. Are you reading the manual? I'm a very honest person. I was like, honestly, I'm not. And he made me promise no matter what I did, I would read that manual word for word on my next appointment. Well, I don't know what I just committed myself to, because my next appointment was the most intimidating one I had done at that point. As a matter of fact, in my whole career here, I don't think I'd ever been this scared on an appointment I've done before. It was with my mother's boss. So my mom used to work at Dollar General. It was with the GM of the Dollar General. So he owned this, ran the store. Well, I show up to his house. Now, by the way, let me preface, I did this while I was in college, so I didn't live in my hometown, and my hometown was about an hour away from my college. All right, I had to pause that for a sales call. Now, as a college student, I did the Going Home program. If you are a college student and your hometown and all the people over 30 you wrote down live in a different city, well, then you have 2 options. You could do the Going Home program, or you could do the virtual program. The Going Home program is I'll pay for your gas expense to go to your hometown and back, as long as you're from anywhere in Florida or southern Georgia. Not a big deal to me. It's like $20 on the low end, maybe 60 on the high end. If it's far away, not a huge deal. Virtual program, you would just walk up, do a phone call and walk them online through our website online. Averages are the same either way. I want to let you know we do very, very well in virtuals. As a matter of fact, here in Gainesville, we're one of the top offices in the whole nation on virtual sales because we have so many people just start out doing virtuals here. Learning curve could be easier in person if that's how you learn best. So typically people that aren't too far from here, they might be from a few hours away, they like the Going Home program. A lot of our South Florida kids will prefer to do the virtual program. And if you're local and most of your people are here anyways, well, you're going to be doing in person anyways. You'll probably be doing a mix because we all have family that lives out of town and out of state. Anyway, so I did the Going Home program. Well, I remember showing up to Ray's house, and him and his wife are in the kitchen, and they're talking, and she leaves the kitchen for me to do it with Ray. Well, who should you do it with? The husband? Or the husband and the wife? Yeah, you want both. And I knew that, but they scared me too much. I was going to be like, oh, Miss Jones, come back in here. So I started doing it with Ray, and I was like, oh, crap, already, I'm messing up. Well, no expression. Whole time we did this, we were both standing up on either side of his kitchen island. Whole time, arms crossed, no facial expression. Over and over, he was like, okay, that's cool. He's like, I'm still not getting anything, though. And I just say, oh, no worries, I get paid just to practice. I remember taking out a knife to do some food cutting and to cut a tomato. Now let me ask you, who should cut the food in the rope and leather, you or the customer? Yeah, the customer. So I was like, hey, Ray, see how many slices you get out of the tomato? He was like, that's fine, you can do that. Okay, Ray. And then I cut it up. I still had the same response after. He was like, okay. He's like, you know you're only in my home because you're Carol's son. I'm still not getting anything. And I just say, oh, no worries, I get paid just to practice. What do you think I wanted to do this whole time? I just wanted to leave. I just wanted to close the book and be like, okay, cool, thanks, get out. Well, I thought to myself, what would be more painful? Having to tough it out for 20 minutes or call my manager and say I'm still not a man of my word and I still didn't read the manual word for word. Well, I do take a lot of personal pride on always being a person of my word, so I wasn't going to call in and say, no, I didn't read the manual. So I decided to tough it out for the next 20 minutes, not expecting to buy anything. I just did it because I just promised I would. Well, at the end of the manual, you ask a question. You say, I want to be doing my job if I didn't ask. Would you like to get the set today and get your free gift? Well, the set you ask if they want to buy, it's called the Homemaker set. We nickname it Touchdown. Do you think that's a good set to sell? Yeah, it's one of the bigger sets. And I asked if he wanted to get it. His response, saw his arms crossed, thought about it. It's like, yeah, I'll get it. And I asked a question you never want to ask. I was like, wait, really you actually want to buy from me? Like, I thought he was pranking me, but he did, and I sold a touchdown. And I learned 2 lessons on that. One, you can never prejudge. I saw the richest family I knew who loved me, and I thought they'd buy everything. Got nothing, not even a cutting board. I say the second one, it says over and over, oh, I won't buy, not the nicest person around. And at the end, he buys the touchdown. Well, he's probably like that with everybody. He's probably like that with car salespeople, whatever. He's probably his personality. But you got to treat everybody the same. You never know. You're going to be surprised over time. There might be some people you thought would buy a lot, and they don't. And there's going to be some people you thought would literally buy nothing from you, maybe one knife, and they end up buying a whole ultimate set from you. So the first thing I can say is treat everybody the same and never prejudge anybody. Second thing I learned is the manual freaking works. I went from thinking that I could do better than this manual and outsmart the manual to this was the best thing ever. So I did hit my first promo my first weekend, doubled my starting pay by the end of my first 10 days, then boom, put on cruise control and worked very part-time. Something I want to say is that I didn't intend to do this long-term. As an 18-year-old in training, I just thought I would do this for maybe a semester or two, and then after that, that was it. Well, if you were to go back in time and tell me I would do this all 5 years, I was an undergrad student at UCF, I'd think you were crazy. If you were to go back in time and say, hey, you're going to make a career here after college, I'd look at you like you had 3 heads or something. Here nor there, after a couple months, I became inspired to want to be an assistant manager. They looked like they loved their job. I was growing a lot from it. I knew I'd grow a lot as an assistant manager. And advancement always looks great on a resume. Well, I worked hard to earn an assistant manager spot. Unfortunately, I didn't get a spot in Orlando. I had to go to St. Augustine. The reason why is I do got to say that I feel blessed that I did get to work in one of the top offices in the country as a college student, and I got top-tier management. Orlando is one of the top offices in the company. Every year, they're normally top 3. My last year in the Orlando office was 2016, and that year they were the number 1 office in the nation. They won something called a Silver Cup, which is like Cutco's version of Super Bowl ring. I, by no means, am the Tom Brady of Cutco, but all I'm saying is I was trained by the Tom Brady of Cutco for years. Well, it was very competitive to earn a spot in that office, so I was told I would go to St. Augustine for summer and be an assistant manager there first. Well, I thought about it. The guy running that office and opening it was Slocum. Loved working with the guy. I was like, you know what? I'll go to St. Augustine, have a lot of fun, help start up a new office there, and make a lot of money and move back. Well, I'm very happy I did that because I extended my vision for myself and the company. So I decided that I want to pursue something called branch. There's a couple different types of offices. We have a district office and we have a branch office. You're in a district office right now. This is a year-round office, open all year, ran by somebody in a career position. We have a huge staff, many assistant managers. Branch is a lot more small scale. They'll open in May and they'll close by the end of August. They'll typically have smaller staffs where they'll be in smaller towns. And the person running it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody in a career position. As a matter of fact, usually the branch managers we promote every May are still college students. But they've earned it. They've worked hard. They're like the Navy SEALs of the sales team. And as somebody who was studying engineering, I wanted to open a branch office, not to make a career here, but I wanted to get this business owner experience because I knew there was nothing else in college I could do at that level. Well, there's obviously very limited spots. We'll typically only have 20 to 30 branch managers in the state of Florida, and this is over 100 plus people competing for it. I earned a spot the next summer and went to Lakeland in the summer of 2014. Well, the summer of 2014, most challenging summer of my life, and I loved it. It was the most memorable, so the most life-changing summer of my life too. So it was very challenging at first, but I love that it always challenged me. It challenged me to grow better. It challenged me to be better, right? It really expanded what a big problem was to me when I had to open up my own business and grow my own business over such a short amount of time. I love that I never felt like the boss or the manager. I felt like I was the coach, and I felt like I was the mentor, and it was a really incredible feeling. And that was the summer I realized I didn't want to be an employee. I wanted to be a business owner, right? I love planning out a schedule every single week. It was like a puzzle I was always putting together. I love trying to always maximize my profit. I love the fact that I could make more money as a business owner than I could with anything else, because it was based on the better we did, the better my business did. And I didn't think I'd be a business owner with Cutco. I was thinking at the time maybe I'll just go and run my own engineering firm. Well, I did finish as the number one new branch in the division that summer, and I made a pretty good name for myself. So that was the first time in the company that I started to become more well known with other offices and other divisions in the company. I didn't know if I was going to stay with the company or not. I felt like I'd reached the precipice of the experience I could, but I got offered a position I couldn't put down. I got offered the promotion to be the district operations manager in Orlando. It's basically a fancy way of saying I was the head assistant manager. So I got to help manage the assistant managers. I got to be the right-hand guy to a Hall of Fame manager in the company. And, well, here's the thing. It paid me more than anything else did at the time. And somebody paying all my own bills, that was very important to me. It was with a manager I respected a lot, and it was with a group of people I loved working with. I worked, around my classes. So it would have been very unintelligent for me to turn that down. Well, over the next few years, I accidentally fell in love more with what I did. I loved coaching college students, loved seeing all the growth people made from it, loved the way I was always being challenged from it. And when I was finishing college, I had to make some very big decisions. Am I going to be pursuing a career in engineering like I spent a lot of time and a lot of money on? I mean, it's not an easy major, and with all the classes you take, it's not cheap either. Or do I want to pursue a career in this company? I didn't even consider making a career in this company until my manager, Trey, sat me down and told me to think about it, and I did some pros and cons lists. Always recommend pros and cons lists anytime you have to make any big decisions. And I did a lot of soul searching, and I came to the realization that I felt better about what I was giving back to the world by doing this than what I did with my other options. There's a couple reasons I say that. I really believe that between the ages of 18 and 22 years old are 4 years that are so critical to somebody's personal development. These are 4 years everyone's trying to figure out what kind of adult they're going to be. What kind of values do I want to get? What kind of things do I want to set up for later in life? What do I stand for? What do I really want? And it's just 4 years that are just so important to someone's personal development. What people say, finding themselves is, the phrase a lot of kids use. Well, this company was the biggest impact to me during those 4 years. And the biggest thing everybody gets is going to be a little different. We're all different personalities. We're all different styles in life. But the biggest things I got, one was money, and two was circle of influence. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. When I was 18 and started working here, I was money hungry. I did not start for the experience, even though I'm very glad of the experience I gained, and I made a career because of it. I just wanted to make a lot of money when I was 18. I come from what I'd say was a fairly normal family, but growing up, my parents went through some personal life events that when I was 18, their only income source was a single disability check and food stamps, and I knew that I was going to have to pay for a lot more than my friends did. Well, I'm very proud to say I did pay for everything on my own in college, and I don't say it to impress anybody. I don't say it to brag. I say it just 100% out of gratitude and to show people what they can do with the opportunity. I'm fully aware that most people I get dealt those cards can't say what I can, and they didn't go to college, or they had to take a lot more than 5 years to do the program I did, and I'm very, very, very grateful that I didn't have to do any of those two things. My $1,000 car obviously didn't last very long. It eventually broke down, and I had to live a while without a car. Well, one thing I'm going to say is it's harder to live in Orlando in college without a car than Gainesville. I did not get it till I came here how everybody gets by without a car. It's actually so normal. It's harder, in Orlando especially because Uber wasn't even a big thing back then when I was in college and didn't have a car. I made it work. I saved up. I bought my own Toyota Corolla. It was $15,000 and it was a 2015. And, a $15,000 2015 Corolla isn't necessarily an impressive car to get. But to pay for it completely on my own at 21, 100% paid for with knife money, I think that is very impressive for a college student. And the other reason that the company impacted me in such a big way was circle of influence. You are who you hang out with. Think of the top 5 people you spend the most time with. They're going to rub off on you in your character, your work ethic, your goals, your everything. Whether or not you want them to, they're going to affect you. Another tip I'm going to give you, if somebody isn't a good influence, I'm not saying you have to completely cut off somebody you love, but do spend a lot less time with them because they have more of an effect than you would even think. And if there's somebody you admire and want to pick up some qualities on, spend more time with them. It's going to rub off. Now, I didn't hang out with losers by any means, but I wasn't hanging out with people that were really bringing me up. And this company just completely turned it around. It completely redefined what it meant to me to be growth and goal oriented. Being surrounded on a peer level of other students and doing the rep job who are very goal and growth oriented people, to even people above me, managers who weren't just goal oriented and like how well they were doing with their work, but with their families, with their money, with their relationships, with their health, with everything. I always thought I was goal oriented because I was that straight A kid in high school. I was valedictorian in my high school. But it really redefined on there's so many other ways in life I could be goal oriented, so many other ways I could be growth oriented and grow myself. And the biggest things everybody is going to get is going to be different. Those were the two for me. For some people, it might just be job offers. The average college student does not get a job after college. Only 21% of college grads actually received a job after college last year, within their first 6 months. And most of them who are unemployed do have good grades. An eye-opening case for me, I had a friend named Eric Rice. I went to high school with him. And even though I went to UCF, he did go to the University of Florida, and he studied mechanical engineering. He graduated around, I believe, 2016. He graduated in 2016 with a 3.9 GPA. That's very hard to do, by the way. If you're a pre-med student, you're like, okay, 3.9, that's fine, that's average. If you're an engineer and you have a 3.9, you're a genius. He might have literally been number one in his class with that GPA. And he was the cookie cutter example of the student that never worked in college. He's like, I'm not going to get a job. My mom said, as long as I get good grades, everything will be paid for. Fair. I respected that a lot, how well he did with grades. I was not able to just focus only on grades because I did have to work in school. Anyways, he took 5 months to get a job of job searching very hard. And the job he did end up getting was through one of his dad's connections. And even though the starting salary was above average for the United States, it was very average for an engineering job. And it was eye-opening to me because even though he had the 3.9 example and school was his only focus, he ended up being so average where it took him forever to get a job. He got through one of his dad's connections. Maybe it would have taken longer if he didn't have that. And he got a very average starting salary GPA, where all the time I'll see students who have such a lower GPA than him, a 3.0, sometimes less, and they'll get almost every single job offer that they interview at. And that's because today experience matters more than your GPA does. A couple decades ago, in the baby boomer generation, when they were college age, everybody who got a bachelor's degree got a job. The thing is, if you got a degree, you were going to get a job, and if you had a higher GPA, it was going to help you get a better job. The world today is not like that. Supply and demand is very different, and we're in a very different economy than we were decades ago. Nowadays, experience matters more. There are many more students getting college degrees than there are good jobs. And what that means is what's going to separate somebody isn't their GPA, right? And the big thing isn't just looking for the student that can get good grades, but the student that has certain skill sets. So what this job shows on a resume isn't that somebody was very good at pushing the buttons at the register, they were really good at folding clothes, but you get actual networking skills, you get actual communication skills, you get actual skills on how to build professional rapport, etc. And not even just what shows on your resume that you can do, but the confidence you have. Whether or not the company is familiar with Vector, you're going to be very shocked when you interview after college or just later on when you're trying to go into your dream field, how many companies actually do recognize Vector and Cutco because of how much more prevalent it's becoming. And some don't, but some might not have heard the name before, but they'll see the type of skills that you have on your resume. All the time I've seen people go 6 for 6, 5 for 5, 8 for 8 on job offers. They didn't even have great GPAs, but they had a lot of confidence and they had a lot of skills and they had a resume that showed a lot more than their GPA did. The other reason this might stick out to you a lot is confidence. So you're probably not an unconfident person if you're watching this video and we accepted you for the position. All I'm saying is you're going to grow a lot more confidence over time. My favorite story to share, I trained a girl once named Taylor Dunbar. Well, probably the most high anxiety person I think I ever remember training ever. So I trained her in 2014 in Orlando and didn't even make eye contact with me. There was 10 people in training. Anytime I looked in her direction, boom, deflected eye contact. Well, she did say to me that one of the biggest reasons she was working here, it wasn't the money, it wasn't the resume, but she admitted she had a lot of social anxiety and she wanted to overcome it, and she knew this would be a good way to do it. I respected that a lot. I've never had anybody ever tell me that before. Well, After working here for 4 months, she got a very part-time assistant manager promotion because she earned it and we needed it, and she was the one to pick. Well, I didn't even see this girl for the next 4 months. So then I went to Lakeland. I ran my Lakeland office in 2014. Didn't even interact with this girl over the next few months. I remember coming back in August because I was coming back to UCF after classes, finished my branch, and I'm coming in the office at the time she was running a group interview. Hadn't even interacted with her in a long time, and poked my head in. Man, the posture she had, the person she was, the version of herself I saw running this interview was just a full metamorphosis of the person I trained almost a year ago. And it was just so incredible for me to see the growth she had, and she hadn't even been on the job for a year. And I've seen so many more people grow, countless examples at this point, but she's my favorite example to share. And at the end of the day, you're gonna all get this type of growth to a degree, from the confidence to more job offers to the money to whatever it is for you. The biggest thing might be a little different to everybody, but at the end of the day, that's why I chose a career here. It's not like I just have some freaky knife fetish and just want to be around knives forever and just want to just sell knives. At the end of the day, I'm a highly paid teacher, right? I get paid more than teachers do, but instead of giving grades and assigning assignments that they're probably going to forget the material on anyways, I get to teach important life skills, and I give paychecks instead of grades, and I love doing that. So anytime you make any big decisions, you always have a little bit of self-doubt at first. I remember 2017 in February and March, driving up and down the roads in Gainesville, talking to realtors, trying to find the office to get. And I did have a little voice in my head that, even though I was excited about it, it was like a self-doubt where it's like, no offense to the locals, where I was thinking, like, this is one dingy city. Is this really where I want to settle down? Well, years later, couldn't be happier with the decision I made. I can hardly say every day when I come to work I actually look forward to it. I love the team I have. I love the assistant management staff I have. I literally view my assistant managers like my little brothers and sisters. My team energizes me when I come home after team meetings. I'm like full of energy. I don't even want to sleep. And the older I'm getting in life, the more I'm appreciating it. Most of my peers in my age range, they're 25, 26 years old, and they come home from work and complain about it. I've had friends who they did get their dream job. They went to school, they got a job in their dream field, and then they changed jobs several times. Even though they got this job, they complain about it all the time. They don't want to go to work in the morning. They come home from work, and they're exhausted. They just need to take naps when they come home from work. I have friends where they, might not have gotten that dream job, but they changed jobs several times, whatever it was, so many different examples. And the more time that passes, the more and more grateful I am that I'm in that niche in life where I don't have to say those things. I can wholeheartedly say that I love what I do. Now, no one's going to love 100% of what they do 100% of the time. Anybody who says that, that's probably not true. But I could very, very genuinely say at least 80% of the time I love what I do. And, more time that passes, the more I'm starting to realize how, unusual that is in corporate America today. Well, it took a long time to say my whole Cutco story. Obviously, that was not very short, and this is supposed to be a short video. But there's a couple reasons why I decided to take the time to do that. One, cast vision. It doesn't matter what you plan to do. You're not planning to sell knives forever, but I want you to get experience here that will impact you forever. Whether you're the kid that only does this for a semester, like you're only here for a few months, or you're the kid that does this for a year or a few years, probably statistically you won't run an office. Maybe you will run an office later. I don't want you to look back at this like, oh, that one job I did in college to make money, like that one server job or that one job this because I had to make money to pay bills. I want you to look back at this like the people in the packet you should have read, like the vice president of MLB and NHL, where she looks back at this and talks about, in one page about the job she did before, she talked about how much this impacted her years later. And she only did this for a summer. Or the founder of Uber, who did this throughout college, and he talks about how much his experience helped him out later in life. All those different types of people. If you plan to go in the STEM field, like engineering or computer science, or you plan to go in the medical field, you need this a lot more than you think. The STEM field and the medical fields are severely lacking people with social skills. Most doctors are very intelligent people. Most engineers, they're very intelligent people. As an engineering student, I took classes with some of the brightest people I knew, and I thought I was good with math, and these people were amazing. But they were not very good at working with other people. If you have social skills, that's going to be one of the biggest things to help you get promoted. And if you plan to run your own business as a doctor, like run your own practice or run an engineering firm, it's going to be the biggest thing to help you do well, not who's the best at calculus. And if you plan to run a business, obviously there's nothing else you could do better than this because we teach you to run a business. So that's one of the reasons I shared all that with you. Another reason, I sat in the same chairs as you guys. Now, not the same exact chairs, but metaphorically I did. I was in training too. You're never going to have a thought, a feeling, or an obstacle that I haven't had, or at least coach somebody before in that situation. I love that we only promote from within, for the fact you will never, ever have anybody above you who doesn't completely understand what you're doing in the situation you're in and hasn't done it before. And I've coached and worked with a lot of people over the years, like a lot. You'll never have a thought, feeling, or an obstacle I can't coach you through. Now, I'm not saying I can solve all your problems in life, because I'm not Jesus, but all your Cutco problems I am saying that I can't solve. Whether you only do this for a semester, or you become an assistant manager, or you even run your own office later. Let's see. So a lot of those are the big reasons. Another reason, a lot of people don't want to say this to me when they meet me, but after we work together for a few months and they feel comfortable with me, they'll feel confident enough to say it. But they'll say, Joe, you look so young. I didn't think you were going to be my manager. You're going to be the trainer. And that's really fair. I have a baby face. I get it. Probably going to have a baby face for a very long time in life. But if you put together the context clues, I'm not super old. I'm 24, about to be 25 very, very shortly. Heck, I might be older by the time you're watching this video. But I'm in this position for a reason. My first year open, the company deployed over 100 offices in 2017. We were number 4 in the nation. You are in a newer office. We haven't been open very long, but we're a championship team. After being number 4 out of over 100 offices in the nation our first year, the next year we got promoted in a way to be considered a pillar development office, which means that even though we're a newer office, we're one of the up-and-coming offices that the company considers becoming a pillar office later on. So no, you can't choose the manager you work with necessarily, but if you could choose, we're definitely a team you'd want to choose. I gave you guys a packet, so hopefully you skimmed through it. I'm not going to take the time to read through this packet with you, but I do always highlight a couple things on the packet. You see the first thing on the front, USA Today. We were ranked number 12 to work for based on Glassdoor ratings. Right ahead here of Delta and right behind Adobe. When you go to the next page, you see Wall Street Journal. Today's youth favor entrepreneurism, but very few have skills. This is one of several articles Wall Street Journal wrote about us, and I've interviewed 2,000 people in my life. I can't even tell you how many kids I've worked with that say, I want to run a business, or I want to have above average goals, but they don't do anything to get those above average goals. It seems to be the most common thing for Generation Z is they want to be more entrepreneurial than the millennial generation, which is the generation that I'm a part of. They probably learned from their mistakes of older siblings going into debt, etc. But what's sad is even though they say, oh, I want to run a business, they're not doing anything to stand out in college or high school. They're working the same jobs as everybody else, right? Their friend might have a job at Subway. They're like, oh, cool, I have a job at Chipotle. Well, we are different, right? We're different. You know, sadly, if you were to get a job that was the same as everybody else and you got a job at Publix, your friends probably wouldn't have picked on you. They would have been like, oh, cool, you know, I work at Walmart. But, ooh, this is different. You're doing a knife job. And anytime you go a little bit away from the herd, you're going to get resistance. If you don't get any type of resistance at all in life, that means you're not really doing anything above average to stand out. Well, because of that, that's why I represent Get Above Average Experience to help them get above average jobs later and give them above average skills. If this was a store where we taught them to push buttons at a cash register or we taught them how to bus a table, they wouldn't get this above average type of experience where you have to want to give 3 credit hours to them. And for Wall Street Journal to want to write about it and Business Insider to want to write about it. So Wall Street Journal talks a little bit about the types of experience they get here. On the next page, you see Mary Beck I was talking about, the founder of Uber. This one right here, a good friend I had in college named Michelle Abrata. So I went to UCF. She went to Stetson as a pre-law student. She sold Cutco for 3 years. This was the email she got when she was accepted to New York Law School. And you can see right here, I put in the bolded words, I was particularly impressed with your work history. The skills and work ethic you learn in these positions will serve you well as you start your legal studies. We were the only thing on her work history. She never had an legal internship before, any type of law firm job before. We were the only thing she did. And you can see it's something that stood out to her number 1 choice of law schools. Right here, let's see. This would be great for you to read through. I'm not going to take the time to do it in a short catch-up. Chris Bites, he started with a GPA as a 1.8. He brought it up very high in a short amount of time working here. If you're watching this, you probably go to a prestigious college here, and you're probably not struggling with GPA at all. but all I'm saying is that we will affect the grades, but in a positive way. A lot of students worry about will the job affect my grades. You're going to learn a lot in time management. It's like a muscle we're always working on every single week. Cedarius Williams, he started working when I did. You see right here, he's a physical trainer right now. He's following his passion. He says here that he does 12 appointments a day, where the other trainers do 10 to 15 a week, meaning he's making as much business in a day as his colleagues do in a week. You've seen the remarks from Johnson & Johnson, Motorola, Dr. Hennard. 9 different colleges in the United States have a class in which students can get a grade based on working with the local Cutco office. The University of Florida doesn't do that. UF will give up to 3 credit hours for people who do this first semester. Most major universities here do that. UCF does and FSU does as well. I've had a couple students do that here with UF. You see Vector loves DECA. We've been a corporate sponsor of DECA for years. Recently we won the Academic Advisory Board Partner of the Year award. Now, why did I take a minute to show that packet? Well, credibility versus non-credibility. So I remember I had some friends make me feel weird about interviewing here. I canceled my first interview because I was convinced it was a scam. Well, when I came to training, we didn't have this exact packet because it was a while ago, but we had something similar, and it made a lot of sense to me. In today's day and age, anytime you hear any information, you always have to ask yourself, what's the source of this and what's the credibility of that source? There's so much fake news out there nowadays and so much stuff that people like say out there nowadays. And I was like, okay, whose opinions matter more than me? 18-year-olds who never worked here but are telling me their opinions on like what they think, if it's like I should do it or not, or how weird it is, but like, again, they never actually worked here. Or the Better Business Bureau, Wall Street Journal, University of Florida's Career Resource Center. Again, maybe 20-year-old kids in college who, you know, seem like they're very smart and know what they're doing, but again, mommy still pays their bills for them and they have no real experience. Or, you know, again, USA Today, Business Insider, etc. Well, I trust these people way more than these people's opinions. And it was so cool for me to do appointments and see it in real life with my eyes and not just hear about it in a training session or in an interview, where I had very affluent people in Orlando who were very successful tell me how awesome this was to be doing at a young age. I had one person who worked with Lockheed Martin, who, by the way, is an engineering student, dream company any engineering kid would want to work for, told me to, hey, talk to him. He said, talk to me when you get closer to graduating. I've never interviewed an engineer with this type of experience before. Well, that stood out to me because I was like, okay, he might be my boss one day. I don't care what any of my friends say compared to him. Well, that is it with my story and just going through the packet. So you want to be writing very quickly. Expectations. First expectation to have, positive attitude. So you got 2 options in life. You could go through life and find all the things you don't like in life, or go through things and find ways to have fun with it and enjoy life. Well, if you want to go there, one of them will probably lead you to live longer and be a happier person. But what I like here is the more fun you have, the better you're going to do. And you've probably heard of law of attraction before, where if you think negatively most of the time and you beat yourself up in your head most of the time, more negative things are going to happen. If you build yourself up more in your head, more positive things are going to happen. Think about this. If you've been an athlete before or are an athlete, before you go into a game, do you just go in and say, okay, well, I'll see what happens? Or do you get in the zone first? If you play an instrument and you're doing a performance, do you get on stage and you're like, okay, I'll just play and see what happens? Or do you get in the zone first? You always get in the zone first. You always tell yourself you're going to kill it and you build yourself up. Same exact thing here. You will be nervous your first appointments. You will be nervous your first appointments. Hopefully you do a lot your first weekend so you get over that nervousness. So get in the zone first. Tell yourself, I am the man, I am the woman, right? I'm going to kill it. And I'm not saying the law of attraction works because it'd be like pseudoscience, mumbo-jumbo stuff that some people in the world might say. I'm just saying because think about it. If you beat yourself up more in your head and tell yourself more negative things, it will affect your body language, will affect your voice inflection, it will affect your thoughts, and it will affect your actions. And same thing vice versa. If you think positively most of the time, then you build yourself up most of the time. And if you really think about it, if you're playing basketball, when you throw the ball at the hoop, you try to get it in the hoop every single time. You're not going to always make it in the hoop every time you throw the ball at the hoop. You won't always make it, but you're always going to like throw it with the intention of making it in. And it's the same thing here. Don't just do an appointment just to do it, just like you'd always throw a ball at the hoop with the intention of getting in, and always do the appointment with the mindset that they're going to buy. It doesn't mean you'll sell every single time. You should expect to sell everything to everyone. Literally, you should expect everyone to buy everything. Does that mean everyone will buy everything from you? No, you'd be the first person in Cutco history to sell everything to everybody. But all I'm saying is that you're going to kick a lot of butt if you do it. Next expectation. These are the 4 most important words I could tell you. I want you to make sure you're ready to write. I want to try them in all capital letters. I want them to be huge, especially because you are likely doing a one-day training watching this video. This needs to be the 4 most important words you remember more than anything. Read, smile, cut, call. That's it. Read, smile, cut, call. Again, read, smile, cut, and what? Call. So, do you know how to read? Do you know how to smile? Do you know how to hold a knife and push it back and forth over an edible object? Or if you're doing a virtual appointment, just play a video of someone doing that? And do you know how to push 9 digits into your cell phone and say, "Hi, Joe"? Great. You're going to do well here. You can literally forget everything you learned in training today. Everything. And you could be so excited to do your first appointment tonight, you sprint down our stairs and you fall and you hit your head, get amnesia. You're on your first appointment. You forget your name. Right? You don't even, you forget everything. You don't know the customer's name. You don't know anything. The only thing in the world you remember is read, smile, cut, call. You'll be fine. You'll be on your appointment and you'll be like, this manual right here says Cutco. I'll just read this. It says to smile. Miss Jones, it says cut the rope. Let's cut the rope. Call Joe. I don't even know who the heck Joe is, but his name's in my phone. Let me give him a quick call. And you'll be fine. You'll be average. The rest of training is to help you be above average. I feel fine saying this because I felt this way when I first got set up for training. I remember when I first got training times, I thought to myself, like, wow, that is a long time for unpaid training. Well, I don't get paid to run the training, or whoever your trainer is not necessarily getting paid to run the training. Instead, I'm spending my time and your time to help you make a lot of money and to help you be above average. To be blunt, most of our reps are above average. I've only gotten the guaranteed base pay a couple times in my life. It was $14.50 back then, $15 now. Most of my reps don't get the guaranteed pay. They get a lot more on the incentive. It's there as a comfort factor to make you feel comfortable that you don't have to put pressure on yourself, but just expect to do above average. Now, is this an easy job to overthink? Absolutely. We're very different than any job you've probably had before. It is very probable tonight you might go home and get nervous where you're like, I have to read this manual and do these appointments and I don't know if I could do it. And hey, if that's you, just remind yourself, you know how to read, smile, cut, and call. We could train 12-year-olds to do this, and they do well because they know how to read, smile, cut, and call. They might even sell more than you because they're younger and cuter. Would that be legal? No. What I'm saying is if it was, yeah, they'd kill it. So, same thing. You don't have to be smart. You don't have to be talented. Can you read? Can you smile? Can you cut? Can you call? Boom, you're going to do well. Don't overthink it. Remind yourself of that if you are an overthinker type of person. Next expectation, professionalism. So professionalism is very important to me. I wish it was more important to a lot of other people out there in the world. So professionalism encompasses a couple things. One is attire, dress for training as professional. Hope you dress professionally today. Dress for appointments, you're going to look nice. I would never wear a suit. Like I want to have a suit jacket and stuff on an appointment, but I'm going to wear a nice button down or collared shirt. Ladies, obviously, again, no suit, but just dress nice. Right? I'm not going to show up wearing ripped up jeans and a Budweiser graphic t-shirt because the customer is going to prejudge you as a slob. And if you're doing a virtual, it doesn't necessarily matter what you're wearing because they're not going to see that. Now, professionalism, also be respectful in the building. We have a lot of people up here I respect working with. Be clean. Don't treat the bathroom like a middle school locker room bathroom. You probably noticed these neighbors care so much about having a clean bathroom, they put a freaking lock on it and you have to put in a code to use it. Well, take notes. The code is 2017. 2017, 2017 is the code. So be respectful, be clean. The language comes to mind too and what you talk about. So you're not going to hear me curse a lot. Now, I'm not saying I never curse. I do sometimes, but the extent of my cursing is never bad. Like the extent of my cursing, I might say something like badass type thing. You're not going to hear me drop the F-bomb in my office or talk about anything vulgar because that's not professional to do. I expect the same thing from you. Professional topics, obviously some things aren't appropriate to talk about at work. I'm not going to talk about inappropriate things at work, and I don't expect you to either because that is not professional to do. And then the last one is honesty and integrity. Well, second to last one, honesty and integrity. Honesty is so important to me. I very wholeheartedly believe honesty and integrity are so important in the sales job. And I'm going to take that a step further and say it's important just for anything in life. I believe that if somebody does not have integrity, it doesn't matter what else they have. They don't really have much at all in the world. And somebody could not even have much, but if they have integrity, well, then they have a lot. If you were to see any of the people I spend the most time with and the people I consider my closest friends, whether they're in Cutco or not in the Cutco business, one of the first words you'd use to describe them is just like honest, like good people. So it's very important to me. If you're going to be late, right, I respect it more if somebody's like, hey, I messed up, I'm sorry, versus if I could tell there's like a fluffy story they're saying. If you ever lie to me, I'll never promote you. I know that sounds harsh, but integrity and honesty is something that I do protect and do hold very highly. When it comes to the people I promote, of course, results matter. Character also matters too. What that means is that I'm obviously not working here every day. I'm not coaching you all the time. When any of my assistant managers coach you, you could trust what they say wholeheartedly because they're like me, where they're dedicated to helping other people become the best versions of themselves, and they're only here to help you. Last expectation, write down, is be responsible. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, I don't really care how many appointments you do each week. I don't really care how much you sell each week. I care about you selling a lot for the sake of, like, I want you to see success, and I do want you to make a lot of money. But if I want to get, like, really, really deep on why in life am I choosing to run a sales office on cutlery, well, it's not just to sell a lot of knives. What I care more about is just, are you a person of your word, right? So if you tell me, Joe, I'm so busy this week, I'm doing this, this, and this, and this, I literally only have time to do 3 appointments, but I could do them on this one day after my exams, do you just follow through and do that, right? All I care about is just, are you on time? Are you professional? And do you follow your word, and are you responsible, right? That matters more to me than anything else, no matter how much you could sell or not. All right, 3 requirements. Write these down real quick. Number 1, coaching calls, Tuesday and Friday. If you're watching this in the summertime, they're Tuesday and Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. If you're watching this during the school year in the fall and spring, then they're 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. because most students have class in the morning. So it might sound like a weird requirement, but I expect you to call us Tuesday morning between 8 and 10 a.m. for a couple minutes. Why do I expect that? Well, to check in on you and make sure you're doing well. When I want you all to write down next to this, I just want you to write tough coach versus easy coach. Tough coach versus easy coach. I could be the easy coach, and you might have had that coach, before, where they don't care if you're late. When you go drill and practice, you just fart around. But your team sucks, and you don't respect that coach a lot. You might have had the tough coach where you don't like this person at first, right? If you're late, you got to run laps, right? When y'all drill, you drill freaking hard, but your team crushes the game. Which one do you respect more? The tough coach. If you want to get really deep, let's say you have a little brother or sister that goes to your school and plays the same sport. What coach do you want your little brother or sister to get? The tough one, because you know that's what's going to help this person grow more. And I'm not here to be the easy coach. Now, I'm an easy guy to work with. I'll just say that right away. I'm a really nice person too, I'd like to say. But I'm tough on my expectations. I expect you to be on time. I expect you to always call after appointments. I am going to be tough on those. Because if I'm not, I am the easy coach, which I very well have the option to be. I could run my business how I want to. Well, then reality won't meet expectations. You'll probably go quit and work at Taco Bell. Or I could be the tough coach. And, I could be tough on do the things you're supposed to. And my goal is reality will exceed your expectations. You're going to make more money here than you expect to make, and you're going to grow here more than you expect to grow. And about the biggest paycheck you've ever gotten in your life, I want you to make much more than that. I remember having a friend at college at UCF, and she worked at UCF's parking services, and she was paid bi-weekly there. And man, if she ever got a $500 paycheck to average out to like $250 a week each week, this girl was walking on clouds. And I was always happy for her. I let her brag about it a couple times she did. And, I remember one time she was like bragging about it, and I thought to myself, like, wow, like I literally made that $500 last night. I want you to have that moment. I want you to get your first comma check. What's a comma check? It is a weekly paycheck. Big enough as a comma, and it's 4 digits. It's 1,000 plus. Now, you're only going to get that if you're new. You'll only get that by working full time and busting your butt your first 10 days. But that's possible. I have people do it. It's not weird. It's not common, but it's not uncommon. Or once you hit 30%, you can get that on a part-time level's worth of work. I want you to have that same type of experience there. I want you to grow professionally and personally too. I want you to get more job offers than your peers do. Realistically, I know you don't plan to sell knives forever. You're doing this so that you could, achieve some dream job later. If you want to be a doctor, I want you to be the best doctor you could be. If you want to be an engineer, I want you to be the best engineer you can be. And this might sound weird to say, but I will definitely be a better husband and a better father in the future because I sold knives in college. And I really believe that. What do we do all the time? All we do is communicate, right? I teach you how to read people, how to work with different types of people, how to, get different people to understand different things. And, I've gotten so much better at that with my own personal relationships. You're going to notice that too, even in a very short amount of time. All right, so time to review some stuff from the interview. So what I'm about to say here should not necessarily be new for you. It should be like a reminder. It should be a review. Obviously, I don't expect everyone to remember every little thing from the interview, especially when you were sweating it out trying to get the job. So if I say something that you don't remember, write it down. If you remember it or you just have it handy with you in your notes, then hey, no worries. So first questions, what year was Cutco founded? Well, the answer is going to be 1949. And Vector Marketing, 1981. Now, what significance do those 2 years have? Well, just know that the knives have been in business for 70 years, and we've been the direct marketer for Cutco for about 40 years now. So the program works. A couple other facts about Cutco: #1 selling brand of cutlery in all of North America. It's in 1 out of 8 households too. Everybody knows somebody who owns the product. If you're watching this, I 100% guarantee you have friends whose family owns the product. You don't know it. Your average high school or college kid doesn't talk to their friends about the types of knives their moms have. If that's the case, that'd be a little weird. Normally, if somebody in training is like, yeah, I know someone who owns it, it's because it's like their own mother, right? And they like talk to like mom after the interview and they see that they have the product. Also, only high quality knives made in the USA. The only high quality competitors we have out there are foreign made. Germany's the #1 selling brand. Japan would be #2. If we're talking about foreign competitors, we're the only option for high quality and USA made. Also, we have the manual that works. I'm not just giving you the manual today saying like, oh, here, read this manual, and I'm turning around thinking like, oh, I hope this works. The manual works. We've had the same basic format for the past 40 years. Like, of course, we've tweaked it up over time, but it's been still the same basic format because it works. Now, as a review from the interview, why do we not sell in stores? We only sell directly. Well, the answer to that is 2 reasons. 1, we bring the price of the product down by a lot. If we were sold in stores, we'd be double the price. Why? Well, you got to pay off the middleman. So if, let's say we sold in Walmart. Is Walmart a business or a charity? It's a business. They need to increase the price to make money. You got to increase the price for the wholesalers, distributors, transportation, advertisers. We eliminate all of them. All we have is Vector Marketing and UPS, with whom we have a very good deal. We ship directly from Olean to the customer. Also, that's how you get good experience on your resume. While Cutco's mission statement is to impact people's lives in the kitchen and make their lives a lot easier by providing a service, Vector Marketing, our mission has nothing to do with the cutlery. It's to give a lot of young adults life skills and to impact people's lives financially, professionally, and personally, and that's something we will never ever change, as that being something that is our core mission. Just like Chick-fil-A will never be open on Sunday because that's part of like their core values. Vector Marketing will never not be direct sales because that's part of our core values to give these types of business skills to our representatives. Now, as a review from the interview, why do we only work on a referral basis? We don't go door to door. We don't do canvassing, cold calling, or random soliciting. We only work on a referral basis. Well, there's 2 reasons. 1, it's a lot more professional, and it's a lot more comfortable when Miss Jones is expecting your call. She already has friends that own the product, especially when your first appointments are with people you know and you're only going on referrals, right? Much more safe and comfortable. I'm not saying you won't get any rejection, but nothing like what a telemarketer gets. Also, it's more flexible. Here's the thing. If we were telemarketers, we'd have the telemarketer position and the sales rep position. The telemarketer would just want to book as many appointments as possible to get a bonus. Sales rep would do the appointment when they book it. It won't be up to you when you do the appointments. You won't know anything about these people. They won't always be the most qualified. If you got a hot date Friday at 6, but the telemarketer books the Friday at 6, well, your hot date's with Miss Jones instead. Here, even though I'll plan out your schedule with you, you're going to have the ultimate autonomy to talk to the customer to find the best time to do the appointment and have it be a lot more comfortable and personal and professional. And then the last thing I like to ask as a review from the interview, why do you get paid to do your first appointments with friends and family? Whether you do them in person or you do them virtually this weekend? Well, a couple of reasons. 1, you'd be extremely nervous if your first hour-long appointment is in front of a total stranger. Also, friends and family give the most honest feedback that you may really need before seeing a complete stranger. And then, other than that, just flat out networking. As a matter of fact, I want you to make sure you write in your notes, write networking and prospecting. If you've ever sat in a college workshop before or been in like a college career fair, a big thing you've heard is if you want to do well in life, you have to be good at networking. Life's not what you know, it's who you know. Colleges do a great job telling kids this, but they do a very bad job teaching this. UF might send out an email, or Santa Fe might saying, "Oh, come to this event. Meet the person that does this or whatever." But you could give a resume, you could shake a hand, you could dress up, but so did hundreds of other people. It's nothing that stands out. Here, we actually teach you valuable networking skills so you can't stand out. And I very, very strongly believe, and I came to this on my own after college, after being in the post-college world for several years and seeing all different types of people in this post-college world. The most important thing people learn here is actually networking. More than any other skill, it's learning how to actually network. You will meet people in your field working here. At the longest it'll take you is at least a year to at least get a job offer from one person. These are bold statements to say. Think about it. If you tell your customer, "Oh, I am a pre-med student, I plan to be a nurse," and someone's cousin's a nurse, do you think they'll refer you to their nurse cousin at the end? Yes, of course. All the time I have kids move here, not from Gainesville at all, who are pre-med kids, but they get connections with Shands Hospital and stuff. And you're going to have some people that just because of the skills they see on the appointment, how you conduct yourself, right? They'll even want to recruit you into whatever they do on the appointment, right? These are all very normal things. And if you don't even build up as an engineer all these engineering connections in your pocket, and as a pre-med student all these medical connections in your pocket, like almost everybody does, at the very least, you're going to have better skills at how to network. At its core, the definition of networking is taking existing connections and learning how to build the right connections from that. Networking is so important. I mean, guys, think about it. Let's say you want to be a chiropractor. Let's say you open up your own chiropractor practice in Gainesville. The chiropractor who makes the most money in Gainesville isn't the one who's actually the best at the job. It's the person who's the best at getting people in the door. It doesn't matter if you're the best chiropractor and you're the best at your craft. The one who makes the most money and does the most business isn't the one who's necessarily the best at that. It's the one who's getting the best at getting people in the door. Think about smartphones, right? The two highest selling smartphones are iPhone and Samsung. Who sells more? iPhone, by a lot. Does iPhone really double the quality? Well, I'm an iPhone user and I'm not dissing iPhone because I love my iPhone, but here's the thing. It's not double the quality or double the technology, right? All these different fanboys and fangirls will say what they think is better because of X, Y, and Z. At the end of the day, the reason iPhone sells more is they're better at branding. That's it. They're better at branding. They're better at marketing. Essential skills. And by the way, if you're going to open a furniture store and you had a big grand opening for your furniture store, who would you invite? Everybody. You're planning for them to all buy furniture? No. Will some buy furniture? Of course. Some will already want furniture before they come. They'll come and they'll buy it. Some might not want furniture, but they'll come and they'll see furniture they actually really like, and they're like, I need this, and then they'll get it. And then you're going to have some people where they don't necessarily want furniture, and they still don't get furniture. At the end of the day, you invited all your friends and family to your furniture store opening, not for them to buy furniture, but to get the word out. If you're going to be a doctor and open up your own practice, a lot of your first patients are going to be people like your friends and family referred. If you're a lawyer, your first cases are going to be the crap cases, and cases like friend or family knew somebody and they referred them to you. Hairstylist, not like in a great clips or hair curly, but like you work in a salon or a barbershop, sure, you will definitely get walk-ins. But if your business is only on the walk-ins, you're not going to do well, right? And a lot of the first people you have are going to be people, friends, family referred to you until you slowly built up the business and got your loyal clients. We've all done it before, so we teach networking through this. As far as the appointment goes, I'm going to be talking in the context of the in-person. If you're watching this and you're somebody doing virtuals, don't freak out and be like, oh, it's going to be so different. At the end of the day, they're the same exact thing. It's a short video here, so I'm only going to talk in the context of in-person. Later in training, you're going to see us a full walkthrough on the virtual. You're going to see it's the same manual, same everything. The only difference is where you park your car. And then instead of cutting food with them, they're going to see videos of the cutting food, and essentially that's it. So let's go. So you drive up to this lady's house. Are we going to park in the driveway or the side of the street? Side of the street. You don't want to block someone in. Should we go over the grass or around the grass? You want to go around. Here's the harder one. Knock on the door, ring the doorbell. Yeah, you want to knock. So there's a saying that friends knock and strangers ring. Think about who normally rings the doorbell. Papa John's, UPS, delivery guy. Who's more likely to knock? A friend. When she opens the door, do a firm handshake. You don't want to squeeze all the circulation out of her hand, but what's worse? The dead fish. Feels like you're flopping around a dead fish right here, right? So, boom, confident handshake. We're in the house, are you going to do it? She'll walk you to a surface to do it. You'll go to the kitchen or dining room table. She's not going to be like, come to the master bathroom with me. If that's the case, weird. You're going to do it in the kitchen or dining room table. I just say because one time I did do it on a couch where I was like sitting here, she was here, and we were cutting food in the middle, and it was like stressful not to get any like grapes or rope hairs on the couch cushion. So you want to do it at a table. If she's sitting down, you're going to be at the same level and sit down too. If she's standing up on one side of the counter, you're going to be on the same level and stand up too. Now let me ask you, do you think you're going to just go in, open the blue book, and be like, all right, Miss Jones, we were founded in 1949. We sell $250 million worth of knives every single year, made only in New York. No, don't do that. Talk to her first. How are you? How's your day? I love your home, right? Normal chit chat. You want to wait for her to start, so you're just going to chat with her until she starts. 3 best things to compliment a middle-aged mom on: house, kids, or pets. If you compliment a middle-aged mom on her house, kids, or pets, she'll love you. Only say it if you mean it. Most people can tell when they get a fake compliment. If she has the ugliest dog you've ever seen and it has like 3 legs and this big underbite and like a lopsided face and like one eye, one ear, and like random patches of fur, don't say it's adorable. She knows her dog's ugly. But you can say something you mean. You could be like, oh, he's so sweet, and pet the dog. She'll be like, yeah, Fido's a sweetheart. He was hit by 3 trucks, but we like him. But say something you mean. You want to chat until she's the one that's like, okay, honey, you ready to start? And then start. Also, they love this part, guys. Let me ask you, your average middle-aged mom, is her life more about her or her family? Her family, right? They wake up the kids, take the kids to school, make sure they have their lunches, go to work, pick the kids up from school, take them all their extracurricular activities, music lessons, sports, whatever. Take them home, make sure they do their homework, feed the kids, make sure they're good to go, and they're in bed, and take them, and then she might have like an hour or two to herself, and then it's like wake up, repeat. And it's awesome that they get an hour that's about her. And when you're like talking about the product, it's about a product that, again, it would be for like her to use. So they love it, even when they don't buy. By the way, like I remember when I was a college student, like when I was 18 starting out, I'm like, oh, I hope I don't feel like I'm like asking for too much if I'm like, yeah, it's like an hour. But what I learned is on the appointments, like they like it, like have fun with it. Like you're legit the highlight of their day. Like really, it's the highlight of their day, even when they don't buy. So you just want to chat until she's like, okay, honey, you ready to start? I'll say, okay, if you are, and then I'll start. So what you're going to go ahead and do is you're going to take the blue book and you're going to open it. Now, before you go into it, you're going to say, okay, now is it okay if I share my goals with you? Now, this is the part where you take 5 minutes to share your goals. So, just say what you're going to school for, what you're studying, and like be genuine about how this is helping you out. So, for example, you can say, I go to the University of Florida, I am a pre-med student. The reason I'm doing this is I have to pay for a lot of bills on my own, and I want to be able to do that. Now, don't lie. If you're not paying for bills, and a lot of students not necessarily paying for bills, some are, some aren't, don't lie and say you are. Just say, hey, I want to be able to save up. I want to be classy and give back to my parents. I want to set a good example for my 2 younger siblings and work hard, at this age. So just be genuine about it. I don't want to have to be that 23-year-old that has to move back in with my mom because I can't get a good job out of college. Now, why do you take 5 minutes to share your goals? Simple. It's a trust factor and a comfort factor. Do you think they're going to trust you more to spend more money with you at the end? Absolutely. Are they going to trust you more to refer more people to you? Yeah. Are they going to feel more comfortable with it? For sure. Will they be more open-minded? Absolutely. Here's the thing. I don't know if y'all did the math, but it costs more than Girl Scout cookies do. Absolutely. It's not a pity buy. What I'm saying is that if you share your goals and you do a good job, and she's on the fence between the basic and the ultimate, she's going to get the ultimate because it's easier for her to justify. And she knows you worked hard too. Especially the more successful they are, understand the more successful a person is, the harder they've had to work in life to get there. And the more they respect seeing a young kid work so hard to get there too. But if you annoyed her and she didn't like it, she'll still get the basic set because the product sold itself. Makes sense? Now, when you start up, way you're gonna do it, this is your manual. You're gonna hold the manual here like this, and then you're gonna open the blue book in front of it. So just to give you a better angle, boom, that's the manual. This is the blue book in front of it, and you're going to go through. Now, the first page right here, by the way, when you go through, you want to point with a pen or a pencil. It looks more professional than pointing with a finger. You're going to talk about the company. You're going to talk about the fact that we're made in the USA, how it's made in America, Marvel's in the White House, #1 selling brand of cutlery. Why are we going to say all this? To build credibility. What you want to write in your notes right now is the company page builds credibility. Company page builds credibility. So that way at the end when she likes it, she feels comfortable that she's getting one of the best products. They don't have to worry, is this like a random hoax thing that pops up one day and disappears the next? That way they'll feel comfortable buying a lot if they like the product. The next page here, we don't even talk about Cutco. We talk about Walmart knives, wood handles, plastic handles, everything wrong with them and how much money they waste. Why do you think we don't even talk about Cutco? We talk about Walmart here. To identify a problem and build a need. So what you want to write in your notes right here, junk knife page, that's what we call it, the junk knife page, identifies a problem and builds a need. So if you rush this page, then at the end she'll say, oh, Cutco's awesome. Like she'll think it's amazing, but she's going to say, I just don't need it. And you could crush this page and not do well at anything else, and she'll still at least buy one item. I can tell by the end of this page whether or not I made a sale. I know whether or not I'm going to sell at the end of this page before we even talk about our features. So let's talk about this a little bit. There's a difference in the world between the between the price of things and the total cost of things. So there's a difference between the price and the total cost. Cigarettes, I don't smoke cigarettes, never gonna smoke cigarettes. I know how much they cost, $6 a pack. If someone smokes a pack a day, how much are they gonna spend? Yeah, over $2,000 a year. Now when someone goes to the gas station, they'll say, oh, it's $6. I'm gonna do it again and again and again. They're not gonna be like, oh, it's $2,000 for the year. Now chain smokers know they spend a lot smoking, but very rarely do they sit down and actually break out the math to see like, wow, $2,000 a year. This is a good one you guys could probably relate to. Coffee. How much is a hot coffee at Starbucks? Like $4? And by the way, there's more Starbucks on U.S. campus than my hometown times 6. It's crazy. Every building has a Starbucks. And they're always back too. The kid that needs to get this $4 coffee every day, think about it. That's 4 times 5. That's $20 a week. $20 a week. How much is that a year? It's $1,000. Now the barista, then they're going to be like, oh, hey, just so you know, it's $1,000 this year. He'll just say $4, and you do it again and again and again and again. And I ain't talking about the coffee. You're really getting like the frappuccinos and stuff like that. The average college kid plays to eat lunch. How much is that? Like your average Chipotle meal, Moe's, etc. $10, right? How many times a week do college kids do that? Like 5 times. That's $50 a week. That's $2,000 to $4,000 a year on burritos and sandwiches. How much do y'all have friends that spend each week on going out, right? You know, like if somebody goes to a bar or a club only like once or twice a week picking up a bar tab, you might have some that don't spend a lot, and you're going to have some that like they're spending the same burrito money and everything, again, just like on going out each week, and it adds up to be thousands and thousands a year. Something might look cheap at first, but adds up to be a lot. Walmart knives do the same thing. A cheap set of Walmart knives, it's going to be $100 to $200, right, for Chicago cutlery. Now, could you find a $50 set of knives at Walmart? Yeah, sure, just go down the aisle. You'll find them. It's going to be like 5, 10-piece sets. But when if you want a 20-piece set where it's like you just have some basic knives and then like a little set of steak knives, yeah, it's going to be $100 to $200. That's not a lot for married middle-aged adults. For you as a high school or a college student, yeah, that might really seem like a lot. For married middle-aged adults, it's not. Think about it, guys. A new fridge is hundreds or thousands. It's thousands, right? You won't go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's. You won't find a new fridge under $1,000. What about a bed? Yeah, $1,000 plus. A good bed, thousands. But they have it for a while, right? I might spend, $2,000, $3,000 on a fridge, but I'll actually have it for 10 to 15 years. A really good fridge, I might be able to like stretch it to the 20-year mark. A bed, that's a little shorter. It's 8 years on average is how long you should have one for. So they have it for a while. So again, they view that differently than you guys do as high school and college students. So yeah, $100 to $200 every few years, not a big cost. There's so much stuff they spend way more on every single year than that. So I'm not going to keep track of it, but when I go to buy this new set of knives every few years, it's going to add up to be thousands. Now, a set of Walmart knives, it'll go dull within a few months. Most people will stretch it about 2 years, maybe 3, maybe 4. Usually it'll be 2. And when you do that, the average family is going to waste over $3,000 replacing their Walmart knives over and over. Worst part is it's not even enjoyable. So let's talk a little bit about these knives. So, wood handles. What's the problem with wood? It's disgusting. Wood absorbs blood, sweat, grease, odor, and bacteria. It is like a sponge you can't wring out. It is organic. It comes from trees. It's going to absorb other organic matter. I mean, think about it. When you were a kid and you mixed the Kool-Aid with a wood spoon, what color was the spoon when you were done? Color of the Kool-Aid. And the thing is, wood rots from the inside out. And you can't clean it in the dishwasher. When you clean it in the dishwasher, it might wash the outside. Just know by the time the outside looks gross, the inside's festering. My manager Trey used to cut open wood handles on his appointments, customer's permission. About 40% of the time, there was a weird pink fuzz in there. One time, there were 2 maggots in it. How they got in there, I have no idea. Disgusting. As a matter of fact, OSHA, in December of 1993, declared it a violation of health code to cook with wooden handled products. 1993, before you were probably born. The year before I was born. Right? It's not like we knew like a ton about sanitation stuff back then. But they still... That's disgusting. So understand restaurants can't cook with wooden products. They can serve with it, though. If you go to like a Texas Roadhouse or an Outback steakhouse, like, yeah, at the table you'll have some wooden handles there to match their ambience and their atmosphere. But if you go in the back and they're cooking with wood handled products, like, that is a health code violation. One wood handle could feed a colony of cockroaches for a week. Now, if a restaurant can't cook with wooden products, what makes you think a mom should for her kids? She shouldn't. On top of that, the University of Wisconsin did a study and found more bacteria in one wood handle in a public toilet bowl. You could literally go to that gas station across the street, go in the bathroom, lift up the lid of the toilet, put your hand in this toilet bowl, rub it around nice and hard, not wash your hand, go home and cook dinner, and that's healthier for your kids than using a wood handle. It's gross. Now, to keep going, the tang is how far back the metal goes in the handle. This knife, you can clearly see partial tang. You can see it goes back partially. When you can't see the tang, it's 99.9% of the time a partial tang. This one's going to go back about this far. You want a knife where the metal in it actually goes all the way to the end. And it costs a little more steel, but it's better because it will last longer and it will cut better. The reason why, it's a physics concept called torque. So when you have the steel going all the way to the end, it's just going to put more pressure on your food and cut quicker. Also, it's less likely to break when you have a partial tang, it's more likely to snap out. Now, rivets, they're the little screw things right here. So you see this one has 2 rivets on it. They help hold the blade in the handle. The problem with them is they expand and contract over time. All metal is going to expand and contract, right, as temperature changes, especially brass, which is what most rivets are made out of. If you look very carefully, this is a wood handle. Hopefully you can see it well in the videos. You see dark green circles around the rivets. What do you think those are? It's mold. Wood grows mold around its rivets. I saw that in training. I was like, okay, that's gross, but I need to I have a lead my manager, but I want to see with my own eyes if that's what my family had. When I visited my mom next and looked in her drawer, I saw we had knives with mold on it. It made me wonder, how many times has my mom touched this mold and then made food that I ate and I had no idea. It's gross. Now, as far as the steels go, this is the only steels I have for my Walmart examples are stainless. That's the most common type. You're going to run into some knives that are carbon steel. If you look right here, you see this is carbon steel, and then this is, boom, stainless steel. Carbon steel is going to be more common from your grandparents' generation because it holds a sharper edge. It's going to resist stoling, but the problem is it rusts, it pits, and corrodes, and is extremely unsanitary. So if you take it, imagine taking a rusty tailpipe, rubbing your thumbnail under it, and looking under your thumbnail, what are you going to see? A bunch of gunk. And that's what you're putting in your food that you eat when you cook with carbon steel. Stainless steel is more common, like the name implies, it'll be more sanitary and resist staining, but it's a very soft metal. It's the complete opposite pros and cons. So razor blades that you shave with are also made out of stainless steel, and they dull very easily. You can only use a razor blade to shave once or maybe a few times before you have to throw it out. Same exact thing with stainless steel knives. That's why people waste so much money replacing them over and over and over again. Now, when you are on this page, you have to sound disgusting. I need you to write something down real quick. I want you to write down personal communication. You're going to write 3 numbers under it. First one you're going to write down 55%. So 55% body language. Personal communication, 55% body language. Under that, 38% voice inflection. Under that, 7% spoken words. 55% body language, 38% voice inflection, 7% spoken words. So what this means is your facial expressions and your body language communicate more than the words you speak. and so does your voice inflection and tonality. It's like if you've ever been texting somebody and you totally misunderstood what they meant because there's no emotion behind it. It's like, oh, we got emojis and stuff. You can still misinterpret what they mean. So that's why it's important to have the right facial expressions and tonality while you're on this. If you go through this page and you're all peppy like a cheerleader, like blood absorbs sweat, blood, grease, and odor, that at the end when you said you want to get Cutco, she'll be like, oh, I'm fine, I have wood handles. Your voice might have said wood was gross, but you might have said wood was gross, but your voice made wood sound awesome. So you need her to feel disgusted about her wood. So the way you do it, I do a nose squinch and lower my tonality while I go through this. Miss Jones, the University of Wisconsin, did a study and found more bacteria in one wood handle in a public toilet bowl. You could go to the gas station across the street, go in the bathroom, lift up the lid of the toilet. What do you see me doing with my hands? Lift up the lid of the toilet, put it in the bowl, rub it around in there, not wash it, go home and cook dinner. That's healthier for your kids than using a wood handle. I even threw the kids in there. Healthier for your kids than using a wood handle. But you got to get her to feel disgusted about it. This did not click with me right away when I was a new rep because I'm a very very right-brained person, like naturally. So for me, I didn't do the puke face my first week, and I was like, I don't understand why I gotta sound disgusted. Can't I just say it's gross and they'll buy just because I say it's gross? Like, it's weird that I have to like sound disgusted, look disgusted. But just because I think a certain way doesn't mean that I should assume everybody else does too. Understand the human brain is more emotional than logical. Just think about it. Your subconscious mind works at a rate 10 times faster than your conscious mind does. Your brain processes emotions faster than it actually processes logical thoughts. So, it's like you've ever gotten like a feeling before you can't put your finger on, or like your emotions are working faster than your logic does and you actually need to sit down and like think about like why you're feeling a certain way. That's just your brain working faster in that aspect. So, most people make decisions more based on emotions, right, and feelings than they do their logic. And if you're intelligent enough, you can logically justify anything. Right, you can. I could just jump up on this table right now and jump up and down. It'd be weird as heck. But I'm sure I could be creative enough to find like a way that I'm going to justify it. So, once I did the puke face, right, I started to just sell way freaking more. And then I loved it. It's my favorite part of the appointment. If you ask any of the top reps in the office, like, hey, what's your favorite part? They're like, the wood handle. So get into it and sound disgusted. Now this next page here is going to be your quality page. This is where we build the value in Cutco. Now this determines how much they'll buy. So what you want to write in your notes, quality page builds the value. So right now the company page builds credibility, the junk knife page builds a need, and now the quality page builds the value. This is where we're building how big the order size is going to be because we're building her expectation of the price. Now when you see a commercial for something cheap, it's normally really loud and flashy. When you see a commercial for something high quality, it's normally calm and delicate. Think about cars. What do you see in commercials for Kias? Oh, I want to see you in a Kia, right in Spain, flashing in your face. The Kia Soul has these dancing hamsters. If you remember the dancing hamster commercials for Kia. What does it got to do with the car? Nothing. But again, it's a lower quality car. They're not going to sell it by saying, oh, you'll love your Kia more than your BMW, because it's not true. And then a high quality car is driving in a mountain range or a desert, somewhere you would never really drive a car. And then you have Matthew McConaughey talking about in the background. It just feels like a higher quality car. If you go to any high-end store, like if you might have been to a Rolex store, a Gucci, or high quality jewelry, probably didn't buy anything there, but you might have been in it. Salespeople are always so calm and delicate. Before they give you the jewelry, they always polish it before giving it to you. Do they really need to polish it before giving it to you? No. Why do they do it? Effect, it's going to feel higher quality. Now, are we a low quality or a high quality product? We're high quality. So you want us to sound expensive. As a matter of fact, you want her to think we're more expensive than we really are. You want her to think we're way more expensive than we really are. So if she's expecting us to be this expensive and I'm like, boom, we're way less than you're thinking, she'll buy it. But if she's expecting us to be this cheap and I'm like, boom, we cost more, she won't. It's like if you're in a store, you see a shirt, you like the shirt, looks like it's $20. Like, okay, you might get it if it's $20. You go and look at the price tag, it's $50. You're not getting it. Looks like it's $20, you go up to $19.99, it's the same price. Maybe, maybe not, depends on how you're feeling. Looks like it's $20, you go up to it and it's like on sale for $5. Yeah, of course you're going to get it. Same exact thing here. And if you're on this page and she's like, honey, how expensive is this? You want to say it's pretty expensive, but we'll get there at the end. I one time had a lady say, honey, am I going to need to take out a mortgage to buy this knife set? My response, maybe, we'll go over prices at the end. And she laughed, but like I could tell how afraid she was when she laughed about the price, and she bought a lot because her expectations were so high. So again, you want us to sound very, very expensive here. And then you go through the page and talk about our features. Guarantee page, boom, hype up the guarantee, 4-part forever guarantee. If it breaks, free to replace, goes dull, free to sharpen. We have a misuse and abuse policy. If you break it cutting out a tree, it's half the price. Anything in the kitchen's free. Drop it down in garbage disposal, whack it up, boom, free replacement still. The most important thing to emphasize on our forever guarantee isn't the fact that it's forever, even though that's incredible. It's the 3-week money-back guarantee. Ms. Jones, if you don't love this for any reason at all, send it back. You'll get a full refund like you didn't spend anything. When you do love it, you'll keep it forever. Why? It makes them feel comfortable that they're not making a buying decision, they're just making a trying decision, and it shows confidence in the product. Here's what you need to know. They will never, ever be on the fence about whether or not they like Cutco or even if they'd use it. It's a bold statement for me to say, right? You will never, ever do an appointment for somebody who's on the fence about whether or not they like the product or whether or not they would use the product. The only thing you will ever see somebody on the fence about is it worth it, right? The only thing they'll ever teeter-totter on, like, okay, is it worth it to get? We'll wait till I'm on the right side of the fence. Money back guarantee. Ms. Jones, if you don't love it for any reason at all, send it back. You'll get a full refund. No questions asked. Now, as far as our pieces go here, so these are all the pieces in the basic set. So understand this right here. These 3 sets are all 3 versions of the same set as the Homemaker set. They can get it with table knives, or they can get it without table knives. They can get it in the Pearl White, the Classic Black, or the Red. Now, this is a basic set. It's only 7 knives, 2 forks, and a spatula. When I was 18 years old and I was in training, I never cooked. The extent of my cooking knowledge as an 18-year-old was you boil the water before you put it in the ramen and how to fry an egg. And that was it. So I thought this was big. So I told all my customers, I said, Ms. Jones, this one's a big set. I don't know like what the hell they thought this one was here. But I said this was a big set. I didn't sell a lot because they were like, okay, I don't need the big set. And after a while, like I started to realize, like, holy crap, it really is a small set. Like, it only comes with 1 tool to do each basic job. Like, out of the 7 knives, you got like 1 basic pared knife. You only got 1 knife to chop vegetables. You only have like 1 heavy duty, for example. And then the extras are just 8, just to have 8 serving knives. If somebody loves to cook, then they'll probably get the ultimate set, which we nickname the complete set, or the signature set, which we nickname the family set. Now, understand, we're going to go over prices later today. Anyone can afford a Homemaker set. You can see 2 HM3s, very below average paying income. You can take 2 middle school teachers, for example. They could easily afford anything we have, right? So the people who buy these sets are the people who love to cook or people who like nice things. Other than that, I recommend for any family to get this set. Now, we do have smaller sets in the back if that's too much. When you go to these baby sets, we have something for literally any family on any budget. Like, we have sets here like y'all's friends could probably easily afford. If that doesn't work, they could go here. They could get pieces. You call a manager, we'll give you a deal. They can even just buy 1 item, forever guaranteed. Everything we make is forever guaranteed. Everything. Even the cutting board. You can buy a cutting board. Get scratched up, traded for a new one. Get scratched up, traded for a new one. Get scratched up, traded for a new one. All free. You could literally not like the knives, and that's a pretty good deal too. A couple things you want to have mentality-wise on this. Your mentality this weekend should not be to make a bunch of money on your family and friends. It should be to have a lot of fun and hook them up with a great product, right? So I want y'all to understand, if you love somebody, you'd want them to have a set. They're discounted, right? If you buy a set as opposed to pieces, they're safer because you could store them in a block. You literally get free stuff, and you have the right tool for the right job. So I want y'all to write that down real quick. So the 4 reasons sets are better for the customer: discounted, safer, free stuff, the right tool for the right job. Discounted, safer, free stuff, right tool for the right job. Discounted, safer, free stuff, right tool for the right job. Okay, you guys get it. So, a mechanic. Does a mechanic just bring a wrench with them and only use a wrench for anything? No, they bring a toolbox because different tools do different jobs. If someone goes to the golf course, they just bring 1 club with them. No, they bring a whole bag. Different clubs do different shots. You got your putters, you got your drivers, etc. Shoes. You could be the most minimalist person out there. Everyone needs multiple pairs of shoes. Would you go to the gym in high heels? No. Would you go to the beach in tuxedo shoes? No. Would you go to the wedding in the chapel wearing flip-flops with your suit? No. Right? You need at least a different pair of shoes for different jobs. The Homemaker set is really like that minimalist version where you have the 1 tool for each basic job. Now the baby sets, they're looking at something a little bit smaller. They could get some with a couple knives. Now, when your customer buys from you, let me ask you, who benefits more, you or the customer? The customer. You sell a set, you get a paycheck. How long does a paycheck last you? They'll probably spend it within the month. Customer buys a homemaker set, how long do they have that for? Forever. 30 years from now. Think about how old you'll be in 30 years. When it's like 2050, and you're 50 years old, think about what you'll be doing in life, right? In that year, in 2050, the same people who buy from you this weekend are going to still have the same sets. It'll be the only thing in their kitchen that's 30 years old that still works perfectly. They probably pass it down to their kids at this point because of how long it's been. So again, who benefits more, you or the customer? The customer. And the top reps get that, and that's why they sell so much. They feel good about what they do. I feel good about selling this product. I've seen so many people who've had it for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. Who are the happiest ones? The ones that have had it for 40, 50, 60 years. Because they're the ones that rave about it the most and want to buy the most for gifts and just want to get like more of it, like it's like crack or something. And I feel good when I sell somebody because I know 10 years later they're going to be that next customer that's like in love with it, telling like the next college student they see how much they like it. The same people who bought from me about 7 years ago still tell me how much they love their knives. So again, you know, your mentality does not be to make a bunch of money on your friends and family, right? You're not going to do well if you think that way, but have a lot of fun, but like feel good about hooking them up with a good product. My mom bought for me. Do you think I feel bad about selling to my mom? No. Why? Because I love my mom. I love my mom a lot. She's developed health problems since then. I don't want her to use knives that aren't cut on her hands. Do you think I feel bad about selling to my friends' moms? I love my friends' moms. They're like my second mothers. I had some aunts and uncles buy from me. Do you think I feel bad about that? No, because I love them, right? And they still have it today. They're still in love with it, and you should feel good about selling this product to anybody, whether or not you know them ahead of time. It's a really great product to stand behind. So that's the whole appointment. What you should go ahead and do right now, if you don't already have it done, is have the manual filled out. So you're going to copy the master copy into yours, and then we're going to go ahead and move on, and I'm going to explain the first pages in the manual. Okay, at this point, your manual should be copied from the master copy. What I'm going to go ahead and say, this is the part where you're probably going to feel kind of overwhelmed. So at the beginning, I said, hey, so some points in the day where like, boom, you'll be overwhelmed, but like when we role play, you'll be confident again. It's going to dip, you know, up and down, and at the end of the day, you're going to be confident and ready to crush things. So that was just a lot of information right there. We have a manual copied. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to read through all the pages in the manual with you right now. I'm going to like briefly explain it real quick, very quickly. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Just know that when you get to role playing, you will get it. The last thing we're going to do in training today, we're going to do a mock virtual, right? I'm going to connect to a computer, and I'm going to literally read the whole manual with you, and we're going to all read out loud through it together. Again, the point of this isn't to read it. You understand the philosophy of everything. I already explained basically the whole appointment. You basically already understand the whole philosophy of the appointment. So just to highlight a couple things. One, boom, this was the cover. This should be pretty cut and clear. Nothing much to say here. All I could say is like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Open it up to the first page where it says tips for your demo. Well, look at this. Follow the manual. Have fun. Cut a lot of food. Call the office. Wow, read, smell, cut, call. Crazy. Okay, right here. Now, again, who starts the appointment? You or Miss Jones? Miss Jones does. So you want to chat till she starts it. What are the best things to talk to a middle-aged mom about? House, kids, and pets. And she's like, okay, honey, you ready to start? You'll say yes. And then you'll go here to personal story. Take 5 minutes. Why? It builds trust. It builds comfort. So she'll be more open-minded. She'll be more comfortable. She'll have more fun. And then when you go down here, don't worry about this stuff for now. We're going to go right to Miss Jones. Since I just started, I'm going to read from my manual. Is that okay? Why do we say it's okay if we read from the manual? So you don't trip yourself up in your head. The reason I didn't read the manual in my first few appointments is that, like, I want to sound like the expert. I didn't want to sound like I barely knew it. Well, if you say, Miss Jones, I'm going to read from a manual, all of a sudden you're not going to trip yourself up. If anything, you take more pressure off her because you're not some skilled finesse salesperson. You're a brand new little baby reading their notes. If anything, she'll feel less pressured. Right under that, like I said, the phone, you don't have to get anything, but if you see something you like, you can get it today. Little Joe Shirka thing, I like to say, hey, like I said, you don't have to get anything. As a matter of fact, I still get paid even if you don't buy anything. Okay, turn the page. Okay, so it says at the top, turn to the company page in your blue book. What should you do? Oh, wow, turn to the company page. Right here. And I made it easier to get to because I wrote page 2. Well, guys, wouldn't you look at this? Page 2. All you're going to do, just read this to Miss Jones. I'm not going to go through it with you. Again, when we do the review, you're going to fully get with the review. At the end of the day, you just read the stuff here. Next page, jump knife page. And when you flip the manual, it's going to say right up here, boom, page 4. How do we sound here? Excited or disgusted? Yeah, disgusted. I'm going to do the top part for you to show you the in-time sheet. So, read along with me where it says disadvantages of common knives. Miss Jones, most people have the world's most expensive set of knives. And again, you're going to have the manual behind the blue book like this. Have the most expensive set of knives. The average knife set's designed to last 2 years, so most households will waste a ton of money replacing cheap knives over and over. You probably know this better than I do, but cheap knives have a lot of problems. And then it says in time. Well, guys, right here you have a little paper that says in time. So when your manual says in time and you have this paper that says in time, just take out the paper and just read the numbers. So, Ms. Jones, in time, the average family has 20 to 40 knives, including steak knives. So the average family has about 20 knives. Your average Walmart knife is about $10. Most people have 20 times 10, that's $200 worth of knives. I don't say the times 15 or every 2 years. It can look confusing your first time looking at this. So I say most people replace their knives every year. So Ms. Jones, your average family is going to waste over $3,000 replacing their Walmart knives over and over. Most people waste $3,000 in their life. Even if you don't replace them that much, you're still going to waste $1,500. The worst part is not only did you waste $1,500 to $3,000, it was ripping and tearing your food, hard in your hands, didn't even look good, and it wasn't even sanitary. Guys, are they going to remember all of these numbers? No. What will they remember? This $3,000. So what do we emphasize? $3,000. Did I say spend $3,000 or waste $3,000? Waste. Again, I'm going to do it a second time. I know a lot of people like when I do it twice. So people think like what animal? They think like sheep. So if you say most people do this, they're like, oh, I do it too. So the whole time I go through, I say most people and average. So again, Ms. Jones, in time, your average family has 20 to 40 knives, including steak knives. Again, the average family has 20 knives. Your average Walmart knife is about $10. Most people have 20 times 10. That's $200 worth of knives in the kitchen. Most people replace their knives every year. So Ms. Jones, most people waste over $3,000 replacing their Walmart knives over and over. Even if you don't replace them that much, you'll still waste $1,500. And the worst part is not only did you waste $1,500 to $3,000, it wasn't even enjoyable. Ripped and teared your food. It was hard in your hands. It didn't look good, and it wasn't very sanitary. The rest of this page, it's simple. All you do is read, and you just sound gross while you read. The next page, let's turn the page. It says turn to the quality page in your blue book. Page 6. I'm going to go ahead and put this back in the front pocket because that's what you want to do after you use it. And then in the blue book, boom, just turn this once. And are we going to sound loud and flashy or calm and delicate? Calm and delicate. So, Ms. Jones, there are 5 features that make Cutco the world's finest set of cutlery. Now, this manual says polish and present right here. Let me show you how you're going to polish and present. Here you go, Ms. Jones. Now, what did y'all notice about that? Well, first of all, did I quickly or slowly unsheath it? Slowly, like I'm taking out a samurai sword. Did I quickly or slowly polish it? Slowly, once or twice. Twice. It should be so silent, like I can hear a pin drop in the background. Again, same reason they do at high-quality jewelry stores. That's on the value. Hold it up to the middle rivet right here like this, and then I hand over with one hand or both hands, and I slowly give it to Miss Jones like it's sweet baby Jesus. And then the longer she holds it, the better. The longer she holds it, the more she'll like it. If she gives it back to me, I just lay it down on the table like this. Boom. So it is on display right there. And I'm going to go through. Now you're going to notice the word expensive is highlighted here 4 times, 5 times actually. It's highlighted here for every point you make. When it says expensive, you want to emphasize it, not downplay it. Again, if you downplay it, at the end she won't buy as much because she might be surprised by the price. So I say expensive, 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 expensive. So she thinks we cost way more than we do. Again, I'm not going to read through the features here. You know how to read on your own. Just know we're designed for both left and right-handed people. The guy who designed it, Thomas Lamb, he's known as the father of ergonomics. He also designed polio crutches, control sticks for fighter jets too, and bicycle handlebars. It's actually, so we paid $1.4 million in the 1950s. It's about $15 million today. Boom, raised the price expectation. Only knife endorsed by the American Arthritis Association. That's a huge deal. People with arthritis, it hurts their hands to do activity. It hurts their wrists to do activities with their hands. They won't feel with our design. We're the only knife with that. It's made out of thermoresin, right? Some of them are still using professional football helmets. It is a full tank. It goes all the way to the end. The rivets, you could rub your finger down the rivets and you won't feel anything. It feels like it's painted right on there. It's because it's made out of nickel silver, which NASA used to use for parts of the shuttle to keep it from loosening in space. So if it stays flush in outer space, it'll stay fine in the dishwasher. And then you cut. If you did the cutting demonstrations or not, just know you cut with her straight edge first. It takes 10 to 30 strokes. Then you cut with your favorite straight edge. It'll take 50 to 100 strokes. It gets a cleaner cut, but straight edges dull so fast. And then you use Cutco, boom, 1 stroke, because of how the double D edge works. So the way that the double D edge works, the points actually are not that sharp. We have 3 sharp straight edges between it. So hopefully I could get a good view here on the camera. So, boom, it's kind of awkward angles right here. The point's not sharp, but right between it, that's a sharp straight edge, this is a sharp straight edge, and that's a sharp straight edge. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Between every point's 3 razor sharp straight edges. Theoretically, I could rub the knife on my fingers, and I'm not going to cut them because I'm rubbing dull points. If I push down, it's a different story. Why? Well, the cutting board dulls your knives, not the food you cut. The food you cut has very, very little dulling effect. The scraping on the cutting board has the big one. The part of the knife that cuts your food never touches the cutting board. And it's made out of surgical steel, so it'll stay sharp up to 10 years. Then boom, we get to the guarantee, get really excited about it. Then the next page, you just talk about each of the pieces that come in the set. And that is it. You are literally all completely caught up on the demo. The only thing you need to do is get practice role playing, and you'll be very confident.